Farming in the Zone is brought to you by John Deere and your local John Deere dealer. Nothing runs like a Deere.
When it comes to soil, we know not one field is the same. That's why a growing number of farmers are breaking their fields into zones for better management of inputs. Today, national reporter Tyne Morgan talks with a Michigan farmer who speaks from experience on why he farms in the zone. Tyne?
Thanks, Clinton. Yesterday, I introduced you to a rookie in this area, but today you'll meet a veteran, and he says with zone management, it only gets better with time. From above, Weston Weiler's cornfield looks uniform, but once you get down to the ground, it shows just how different his soils can be.
It's a real variable type area, a lot of small fields, ups and downs, which creates, everyone has multiple soil types, but I think we're probably the extreme end of that.
Sand, gravel, clay, he farms it all. That's why Weiler says he's the poster child for what zone management can do. After all, he's been farming by the inch for a decade.
You can't jump in the first year and expect it's going to be awesome. The longer you do it, the better it gets, because you keep tweaking those zones down and tightening that management up to where, 6, 5, 6, 7 years into it, and you really start dialing that in, and then it gets good, and you start balancing your soils.
He says the biggest payoff so far has been in fertilizer.
Cost of inputs we know have gone up probably double in 3 years. That's a big deal. When you're putting that product out there, it just gives you a lot of confidence knowing it's getting, it's going where it belongs.
He says on average, he doesn't spend less on inputs like nitrogen. He's just getting it where the field needs it most.
Fertilizing too much, in some cases, is bad as not enough, and vice versa. So I think that's where it fit well for us.
Weiler has more than 100 landlords he does business with throughout the year, and it's his fertility program that helps him to both build and maintain those relationships.
My promise to you is that if I farm your land, it's going to be maintained to the utmost, standards. And, and if something happens in 5 years I don't farm your land, I can promise you it's going to be better shape when I left it than when I took it.
Through NDVI maps and a good consultant, he knows his soils are improving every year. He says he's able to do even more as the technology comes on board. Just a few years ago, Weiler started doing variable rate seeding and variable rate side dress nitrogen applications.
We're to the point where we know there's a payoff, a big payoff on zoning your soil types, fertilization for sure, seeding for sure. And then the next thing that's coming down the pike is changing, actually, carrying multiple seed types on your planter and planting different seeds in different soils.
Weiler says he's not at the leading edge of technology, but the bleeding edge. That's why he hasn't invested in that just yet. Another tool Weiler thinks is on the horizon for zone management is drones.
One of the latest things is the unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, which consultants or even farmers can own for not a big investment and go out and do NDVIs almost anytime they want.
Weiler knows all the data and technology can be overwhelming, but with a decade and counting of farming in the zone, he says his biggest advice when getting started is give it a few years before you decide if it works for you.
It's kind of like anything you try on your farm. Until you have 3 good years of data, you really can't say it works. Whether you're trying out a seed variety or a certain tillage practice, if you don't do it for 3 or 4 years and get repetitive data, you can't count on it.
While both farmers showed us the savings benefits of zone management the past 2 days, there are several tools required to get started. Tomorrow we'll walk through that list with our Farm Journal agronomists, so if you're interested in implementing zone management, you'll want to tune in.